Pro Football Weekly. Tell them like it is. Week 6. We're getting there, kids. After this week, more than a third of the way. It'll be pretty scary. The football season goes so quick, but it's great to be here. Turn off the Sam Spence for a minute. Got Rosie in the studio on the floor here, chewing her toy. She likes to be part of the Pro Football Weekly. A lot of big things this week coming up. Got some great rivalry games. It's great to see those. Always a lot of fun. Got a couple of nut cutters, not in the traditional sense of nut cutters with winless teams, but 2 games of 2 and 3 teams, and got some surprises and of course things of that nature. But again, team of the week last week. I still got to go with the Cards. Just playing great football, being 5-0. They got a tough game today, and speaking of the Cards today, the Browns schedule is just brutal. I mean, I'm a Viking fan, and the Viking schedule is brutal, but the Browns schedule, it is murderous. So last week, you're playing the Chargers. This week, you're hosting the Cards. I mean, it's unbelievable. So it's going to be really interesting. But a couple of trends here, a little interesting. So Pack Bears today, big rivalry. The Pack is, I think, won 8 of the last 9 in Chicago. And part of the reason Chicago's won, averaging 18 points a game in those games. And you're not holding Aaron Rodgers, usually under 18 points. Chicago defense with Hicks in the middle is excellent. Makes it very hard to run. Very underrated player. And, Nagy gets so much grief, but solid coach. I mean, going through a transition in the middle of the season with a quarterback, and I think he does a decent job. I just don't think they have any weapons. And he has his team competitive every year, but geez, it's like when you have a good season as a coach and then all of a sudden, you maybe come back down to earth a little bit because you overachieved the first year because people are so tuned in, which is what happened as a coach. People are extra tuned in when you're a new coach. But the thing is, it's like you're automatically on the hot seat. It's like you set your own guillotine up. I know in the NBA this is true. You can find a list of 10 guys who've won Coach of the Year in the NBA, and then within 2 or 3 years, all been fired. Byron Scott, guys of that nature, decent kid. Just guys who just win Coach of the Year and then you get fired. So the patience in America today just horrendous, especially in a football season where these guys not get 5-year contracts to 2 years, they move on. And sometimes it is obvious, but Jesus, then what the hell were you doing? How about the guy who hired him? You should be the guy who's gone too. And so it's a crazy situation. But so rival games this week: Pack Bears and Raiders Broncos. This Raider Bronco game is really a huge game. One of these teams is going to be 4-2 and feeling decent. The other team's going to be 3-3. Raiders Raiders were 3-0, Broncos were 3-0, and now both 3-2. Raiders obviously have a lot of distractions. No Gruden, which is just amazing. So we can have people who, I guess, commit murder in the NFL and abuse different genders, but can't have a guy with a bad email. So here we go. That being said, Broncos Raiders, rooting for the Broncos in that game. I'm rooting for the Bears, of course, because there's a Viking family, Chris Carter jersey here. I don't want anything about the Packers. And then, of course, like I said, we got some nut cutter games. And the biggest thing is, the Chiefs 2-3. Should we fire their coach too? If you want to go by just ridiculousness of the NFL, then you got to be consistent. That's my biggest beef in life is people be consistent and fair. At 2-3, how are the Chiefs 2-3? Has Andy Reid done a good job? I don't know. So they're 2-3. They're at the Skins. It's one of my knockout picks. And then the Hawks and the Steelers 2-3. Geno Smith coming in for obviously Russell Wilson, and take us for granted how great Russell Wilson is after you watch Geno for a little while. Hawks at the Steelers again. Steelers trying to get up off the deck. They were 1-3, trying to get to 3-3. Big, big kind of swing playoff game for a team like the Vikes. When you get off to a 1-3 start, you put yourself in a corner, and here we are 2-3, chasing the Panthers who are 3-2, and you have to realize it's a must game for the Vikes. You get to 2-4, and the Panthers go to 4-2. They got the tiebreaker and a 2-point lead, 2-game lead. You're chasing it already. So this is a must win for the Vikings. They don't have Christian McCaffrey, which we'll get to later. Game of the week, though, Chargers Ravens. Ravens are an excellent team. Lost a tough game to the Raiders. Could easily be 5-0. Tell you what, gotta love Herbert he could be the MVP right now. Him and Kyler Murray. Gotta love him, but we'll get to that later. First game of the day is the Toilet Bowl across the way in England there. They should be playing this game in Flushing. Finns, Jags. I mean, the Dolphins, like I tell you, the last couple of weeks, I'm telling you like it is. You know what? Called it exactly right. And the Finns, they messed around with two at the end of last year and put some doubt in his head. And now the kid's hurt, and they're just a mess right now. Just goes to coaches overthinking it. It's always the same stuff. If you're gonna put two in there, let him stay in there. Now he's hurt. It's a mess. Finns are favored by 3.5, 3.5. I'm gonna go with the Finns. Last week only 5-9 with the spreads. That's why I don't pick games with the spreads, kids. But we pick them for you. Pack and the Bears. Pack favored by 4.5. At least this week we got a lot of 0.5s in there. A couple of weeks we had flat spreads. But Pack, obviously Aaron Rodgers, you're not holding him to 18 a game. And I just don't know how much the Skid Fields is going to be ready. I think you got to be able to run the ball in the Pack and keep Aaron off the field. Obviously, it's the best way to do it. But I got to go with the Pack in this game, 4.5. Bengals at the Lions. Bengals lost a tough one. 5 missed field goals in a span of 2 minutes is the most, I think, they said in NFL history. Obviously, I can't believe you get 5 possessions in a 2-minute span, but I guess they did. Got to go with the Bengals defense, 3.5. A little Lions, not bad. That's a good 0-5 team if there is such a thing. I like what Dan Campbell's doing. I know he'll get grief because most people don't understand coaching, so like we do. But I like what Dan Campbell's doing. I'm going to take the Bengals, 3.5, 3.5. Texans, Colts, it's no feel here. Just have no feel. Jacoby Brissett was playing for the Dolphins, but wish he was playing for the Texans. Colts are at home. Colts got to make a stand eventually. 9.5. I'll go with the Colts here, even though the Texans, some days surprise you. It's a very inconsistent team. Rams at the Giants. 2 of my other picks are going here for the Rams and knockout. And again, knockout is no point spreads. So I'm going to put 2 on the Rams and put 2 on the what are the game I picking today? Chiefs. So bottom line is I haven't lost any picks all week. I'm 20-0. 4 times 5 is 20. Last time I checked. So Chiefs and Skins. Chiefs got to wake up today. If the Chiefs go to 2-4, there ought to be an investigation. And again, when you watch the Chiefs, you just feel like they're too cute. Everything doesn't have to be the most creative play ever. And again, I've said this many times before. Coaches start to believe their own horseshit. And obviously Andy Reid is a Hall of Fame coach. But again, why do you have to be the smartest guy in the room? You got Mahomes back there. Drop back and throw the ball. Everything doesn't have to be a triple fake reverse. And it's just beyond stupidity after a while. And here you are, just line up and win the games. You got plenty of talent on offense. Defense is shoddy. Just go down the field. Everything doesn't have to be a super duper play. And again, I feel like when you watch the Chiefs, it's like everybody who's and us. And at the end of the day, you're 2-3. So being the smartest guy in the room, again, we've seen championship level coaches in every sport do this. It's amazing. Vikings and Panthers. Vikes got to take a stand today. 1.5 point favorite on the road. No Christian McCaffrey. Got to win this game. There's no goddamn excuses. You got to come out and you got to win this game after that almost total collapse last week, as you saw me cover on Vikings Weekly, my other podcast during the week. iTunes, Anchor, Spotify. Give us a listen. Facebook. All right, we got Facebook. We got Twitter. We got it all. So I'm going to go with the Vikes in that 1.5 there. Got to win that game with Christian McCaffrey. There's no excuses, and hopefully we can have a better ending to the game. Chargers at the Ravens. Ravens -3. I'm going to go with the Chargers. I just don't. I think the Ravens are a better football team, but I'm going to take the Chargers. Maybe lose a close game here. Cards at the Browns. Can't believe the Browns are favored. That just shows you a little lack of respect for the Cards. The Cards are 5-0. Browns have had some tough games recently. Browns are favored by 3. Now, I know you got to come to the middle of the country, but this is not baseball where you travel every day. Cards 5-0. I'm going to take the Browns just because I think the Browns are the more desperate team, but the Cards just added another great tight end and Ertz. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough stuff. Browns adding Ertz is a great pickup, and I can't believe the Eagles would just give up on it at 2-4 in that crappy division, but I guess they made a solid decision based on it, and maybe the contract situation lends itself to that. Raiders at Broncos. Like I said, Broncos got to stand up. Teddy did play last week, but Teddy did not look healthy. Teddy did not look like himself. And even though he played post-concussion, he was cleared. He did not look good. He wasn't nearly as effective as he was the first 4 weeks of the season. And by the way, Daniel Jones is cleared today for the Giants playing the Rams. So the Giant offense found Tony there. This kid looks like he's a good player. I'd like to know where the hell he was for the first 4 weeks if you're the Giants. And that's on the coaching staff. And did the same thing with Victor Cruz back in the day. Victor Cruz all of a sudden comes on the scene and blows up, and everybody celebrates that. But my question is to the staff, where was he? How'd you not see that? Tony and guys like Victor Cruz, the talent jumps off the screen. Like, where were we holding this kid back from? I never understood that. Cowboys at the Pats. Big game for the Pats. Pats saved their season last week, 2-3. Cowboys due for a letdown. I'm taking the Pats here. -4. I mean, hopefully Bill can keep the Cowboys off the field here, but I don't know. Hawks and Steelers. Steelers -4.5. Steelers, giving Orlando those points. I'm going to go with the Steelers. I think Big Ben had a resurgent game last week, and Steelers are full of pride. And again, this is a nut cutting game here because one of these teams gets back in it, and the other one is basically banished to bogey land for a little March of the Wooden Soldiers reference. And then Monday night, Bills at Titans. Bills, big stand last week. Bills favored by 4.5 on the road at the Titans, but Henry's tough. But I got to go with the Bills until Titans wide receivers are fully healthy, even though sometimes they're playing, they're not fully healthy yet. So just the trends for this week. And like I said, 5-9 with the spreads last week. I'm telling you, like it is not a good day. But again, that's why I don't pick with the spreads. That's why I don't gamble on football. Play knockout. Easy to pick a winner. You never know what the spreads. Sometimes the late covers and the late losses on the cover. It's why you can never do it. So I tell my kids, don't bother gambling. It's has nothing to do with the game. You can win the game and lose the spread. So once you can do that, what's the point? So that's what's going on in the NFL this week. Big injuries of the week is to Christian McCaffrey, obviously being out, and Russell Wilson. And you'll realize how great Russell Wilson is and how much underappreciated he is, especially for a running quarterback. For him to hardly ever miss a game, and then this week, obviously, he's going to miss a game. It's unfortunate. So we wish him a speedy recovery. I was hoping that the Hawks would be able to beat some teams for us because we took care of them, and it's good for us in a playoff seed situation. Remember, extra playoff team this year, 7 in each league. Number 1 seed gets buys. The other 6 in the league play in both leagues for a total of 14 teams. So got to find a way to get in there this year. It's almost half the league that gets in. So it's 14 out of 32. So we need to get in there. All right. So that's the story for telling you like it is this week. Again, Spotify, iTunes. By the way, on a personal note, I have an Athletics Weekly podcast. Shout out to Ray Fosse today. For those of you who don't know, Ray Fosse was 2-time All-Star. Also got some MVP votes in 1970, which is really unusual for a catcher back then, except for Johnny Bench. And he passed away. Ray had done the A's games, and I stay up here in New York till 1:30 in the morning watching the A's games, and get up to teach at 5 o'clock, which makes it really difficult. But Ray made it always a class act. Always held the A's accountable. I can't stand the homie announcers, and Ray wasn't one of those. The best thing about Ray, though, is his community outreach, supposedly to the fans. I talked to him on the groups, and he was just so loved in the community. But he's a great link to the past days, and now we have to replace that. Dallas is good in the booth, but you want that link to those great years. And Dave Stewart's in the studio, and he's linked to the '89 A's, but I don't think Stu's going to go in the booth. So we lost that link to the '70s A's, and if you're an A's fan, that's the glory years. And it's been a tough year for the A's. It's a situation where, talk about our team moving. And it's funny, the day they announced that we're probably going to be announcing after Christmas what we're doing is that same day Ray Fosse passed. And just a shame. But the most classy thing about Ray is I never heard him bring up a negative thing about Pete Rose after that All-Star game collision, which left Ray was never the same again. He did come to the A's after that and become a 2-time champ with the A's, but never the same again. Still had a great career. But keeping cancer quiet for 16 years. And then earlier this April, he took a break for the team. And, for him to miss that many games, you knew obviously something was up. But it was great to have Ray, and just a real loss for the A's fans that night. And, your announcers are like your best friends. You still talk to them every day. And I've had the satellite dish since '01. So I've listened to Ray for 20 years and admired him as a player, as a young man. When I first started following the A's, he wasn't on us yet. And then 2 years into my A fandom, he came to us. And it's like losing a friend. So God rest Ray Fosse, and sympathies out to his family. So anyway, let's go get a Vikings win this week. I'm telling you like it is, and we're looking forward to really having a great day of football. It's always exciting to be in there and have some great football games. And we'll see you next week on Telling Like It Is. Take care.